Welcome to nohacks.show, a weekly podcast in which smart people talk to you about better online experiences. Today I'm excited to have Oreoluwa Akinnawo, a conversion optimization expert from Prismfly and one of the speakers at the upcoming Women in Experimentation Summit on June 6th. You can sign up for the summit for free. The link will be in the description. Ore, welcome to nohacks.show. What a pleasure to have you on.
Hey man, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. It's amazing always connecting with people who are doing the same thing that I do, and then we get to have amazing conversations.
100%. And we're talking about, among other things, the Women in Experimentation Summit hosted by convert.com. My question for you is, why did you decide to apply for the summit?
You know, it's interesting that I saw a post from Trina, who is one of the moderators and organizers of the show. I saw a post from her and I saw it twice. It popped up on my LinkedIn feed twice, which is kind of weird because LinkedIn doesn't necessarily
Wait, the same
repeat.
post?
Yeah, the same post.
Interesting.
Right. So the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this is really great. I wish I could apply for it, but maybe it's not for me because I thought it was mostly for women. Right. And it popped up again and I was like, that's odd. So I clicked on it and I read through it and I realized that I could actually apply because there's a 70-30 split between the speakers. And I'm like, okay, well, what are the odds, right, that I would apply and I would get this? So it was, I think, a Tuesday afternoon. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a little video, complete this application and do it. And throughout my career, it's really easy for me to reference points in which I've been helped by women in experimentation. The first time I needed my CV to be reviewed or my resume, it was done by Abby Huff. And it was off a random DM on LinkedIn asking hey, I need help with this. And she was able to just help me correct my resume. My first job after she did that, I got employed by Andrew Barragan, right? She runs an agency as well. So it's right off the bat, they're the pivotal points in my career. I realized that I've been helped by women and I thought it would be interesting to sort of give back, right? What are the things that I've picked up over the years that I think would be super useful, right? To anyone who is doing experimentation, especially women, right? And it's why I chose that topic and it's exactly why I applied. So I love that. It's amazing. It's amazing that I've been speaking at this conference, and it's exciting as well.
I love that, and the 70-30 split. Even though the name says women in experimentation, it is about more female voices, but it's about new voices in experimentation space, and giving them a platform to speak. And if this was women in experimentation, you have women who have spoken at 20 conferences each in the past 10 years, you're not changing anything. It's still the same thing. But no, what Convert wanted to do here is really get new voices to step up and become more prominent. You're one of those voices. So congratulations on being selected to be the speaker. And your talk is about taming the hippos. So tell me why you chose that topic specifically.
So it's something that I've seen happen quite a lot of times, right? I think there was this period where there was a lot of, content being put out that I guess HIPPOs, right? And the context is them being the people who typically say no to experiment ideas or changes that are going to be happening on the product being either a website or an app, wherever it is that you work in that CRO space, right? They will typically say no to you, and the idea was that they are working against you as a CRO practitioner, and they're working against the program. And in my experience, and maybe mine is a bit siloed, right? I don't think they work against us in particular, right? And I really wanted to speak up on that because I've worked with so many fantastic clients over the course of my career. I've worked with clients that have helped power the experimentation programs that we're running when they truly understood the value that we were offering, and they were able to contribute to it. They were able to fight to keep the program running, right? And this is where, they are our only point of contact. We have no contacts, just maybe the CEO. And this is if it's a especially large company, we have no contacts with the CEO. And when board meetings are happening and you're trying to defend the spend that's happening on CRO, they are our biggest advocates, saying hey, we should keep this program running. There's value in it. It has transformed how we do business online, right? And those are the things that I think should be celebrated about HIPPOs. And I thought that it would be best to kind of pass on, I wouldn't say frameworks, but a mindset change, right? That would help people understand that these are people we need to collaborate with, right? We aren't working with monsters. It's not a case of Batman versus Joker, right? It's more like Batman and Superman. We both have the same goals, but maybe from different approaches. And that's how it should be seen.
But a lot of it is about communication.
Exactly.
Communication solves a lot of the problems that you will have with HIPPOs or anyone else within an organization. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So how do you, you said they should not be seen as the enemy. Of course, you are on the same team after all. Like if you have enemies on your team, what about the other teams? Like you're done. You don't stand a chance, basically. So let's say there are some problems with the HIPPO. Like, what's your approach? Like, what is your approach in trying to convince someone that your experimentation program needs to keep going, or there's the other side of it? Let's say you have a HIPPO or a stakeholder who says, "I think this is good. I want you to test this. I want you to make it work." Like, what's your communication strategy with that person?
So, I think it's a great question that you asked, and this is a theme that would typically happen, I guess, with people that are on the agency side, because in CRO, we have people working in-house and then agency, and then agency affords you the opportunity to, I guess, practice your communication skills over and over again, right? So with, and that's a direct answer to your question is, there are two primary things that happen, right? Knowing who exactly the stakeholder is, right? And by knowing them, it's understanding what their role is in the company. It could be the head of e-commerce. It could be the head of marketing, whoever it is that you're working with, right? Understand who that stakeholder is and what their goals are. And then it's aligning your plan, your strategy, whatever it is that you're going to be bringing forward to them. It could be your roadmap, aligning it to the goals that they have. So, if you think about this, like in the long run, it's a collaborative process, right? You're going to listen to them, understand what it is that they want. And once you understand what it is that they want, it's easy to get them to say yes once you start to prefer solutions, right? And that's the ideal step, right? Knowing who exactly you're speaking to. If you're speaking to, maybe it's the CEO, you understand that he's going to be more concerned about how revenue is being generated and the sorts of resources that are being used to generate that revenue, right? So he's more profit-minded. If you're going to be speaking to the head of e-commerce, he wants to make sure that nothing is going to break on the sites. They're not going to change like their operations side of things, right? So those are the sort of things that you kind of balance in your head and you think, hey, based on the role and the responsibilities this person has and the goals that they share with me, this is how I can align my plan or my roadmap to make sure that once I start to propose ideas and once I start to tell them like, hey, this might be a good thing to test, it's easier for them to say yes to it.
I really like that because it's something that can easily be overlooked. You need to know, is it the head of marketing? Is it the CEO? Whoever you really need to figure out who the person calling the shots is before you start working on how we're going to convince him or her to accept our experiments. I like that a lot. So now that we know who the HIPPO is, it can be a he or a she, because of course it can be anyone. How do you deal with experimentation proposals? Like, what is a good experimentation proposal?
So there are three primary things I think should exist in any experimentation program. The data that the idea or the hypothesis is coming from, its impacts, right? Meaning, what is it going to affect, right? If you run this experiment, if you test this small change or massive change, right? What would be its impacts, either on the top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel metrics, right? What exactly would it be affected? And then outcome. So you're looking at just those three things: data, impact, and outcome. Because at the end of the day, once we know that, hey, these are the metrics that we're targeting, this is where we want to, see change. What happens if this experiment wins, right? Or what happens if this experiment loses, right? You need to be prepared for both outcomes, because you have no idea what's going to happen once you start running experiments, right? You have no idea if it's going to win, even though deep down, you might have a bias and say like, hey, this is a well thought out change and I think it might work. human behavior is erratic, and sometimes like even the best ideas might not just work out simply because it's the wrong time. It's a bad season. Revenue is down. Like there are lots of factors that should just affect it. So as long as you have these three main things, your data, the impacts, and the outcome, I believe it's super easy for you to speak to anyone and then help them see the value in any experiment that you're bringing forward.
Well said. But to kind of go back to the first point we had, the role of stakeholders, you need to understand, like there, you need to understand who the stakeholder is. Here, you need to understand what it is you're trying to achieve. Like not which technique you're trying to apply, like change this or change that. No, why are you making a change? And what is the impact you're hoping to get out of the change or out of the experiment you're running? So a proposal needs to start with that. Like we are trying to fix this or improve this, optimize this, and we will do it by trying this, and that. So like that's a really easy framework, but also it's easy to get caught up and start thinking about the solutions and then trying to find problems for them, which you don't want to do. Like you never want to do that. No. Okay, so how do you then communicate the benefits, the potential benefits of an experiment to stakeholders?
So this is probably where I start talking about doing research, right? It's probably one of my favorite parts of running a program, right? Because it genuinely allows me to understand what's going on the website. And it allows me to have really rich conversations with the stakeholders. And this is because like, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm bringing in my expertise in running CRO programs and I'm coming to help you and your company. And it's a different thing for me to say, hey, I've done my research. I understand your customers. And I think we can try running a program in this way. Those are two different approaches, right? So I think when he starts with what truly matters, which is the customers, like the people that you're serving, it's much easier for you to say, this is how, this is the impact, right, that a change is going to have at any point in time. So something that we do here at Prismfly, right, is we try to do something we call funnel building, right? And we're simply just going through your analytics and we create different sorts of funnels, right, to understand what a random path in some cases and certain a specific, I would say specific steps that they take through your funnel, right? So we try to plot those things and simply us answering questions of what happens if they land on a homepage, move to collections, to products, all the way to checkouts, right? What happens if they land on the homepage and they use navigation to go directly to a products page, right? So what are the different scenarios that they can do to help understand what those different funnel paths are? And it allows us to understand where the biggest drop-offs are happening, right? And it's something we call in-house, like show me the money, right? It's like if you're able to tell any stakeholder, like, hey, look, we built out different funnels, like on your websites, like on how your visitors or your users would typically navigate it. And we've noticed that at each drop-off point, there's like a category that we can see. It could be on the PDP category level. It could be on the collection category level. It could be a navigation issue. And once we're able to show them like, hey, this is what is causing the biggest drop-offs that you're seeing, and this is why you're losing money. I've never seen a situation where they said, hey, I don't think that's relevant to us. It's always like, what can we do? We don't want this to keep happening, right? And I always say this all the time, like you have one main problem, right? And multiple ways to solve it, right? Never look at, I guess, like your program as a way to churn out ideas, right? It's a way to solve problems and it's a way to answer questions. So your objective in this case would be to understand that there is a problem that exists maybe on a category level, and then it would be to prefer ideas or changes, right, that you think can like affect or improve the odds of these drop-offs, right, reducing.
I like that, and I like that you said research. Like this is where you talk about research. I mean, CRO optimization, like it. Let's throw a number out there, but it's 80-90% research. At least it should be.
It should be.
I mean, in many ways, the goal of a CRO program should be learning. It's not winning individual A/B tests or experiments. It should be about learning about the audience and learning about what works and what doesn't work, and then tweaking those and doing more of what works, obviously. But this is super interesting. Just to recap, and the full talk will happen on June 6th at
Definitely.
Women in Experimentation Summit, and the link will be in the description. People can sign up, and I'll be there. I'll follow. A lot of people will be there, from what I see. Like it's getting a lot of hype, and it's going to be a great event.
Yeah.
But let's just recap what we talked about today.
Mhm.
So to tame the hippo or the stakeholder, first of all, you need to understand who that is. You cannot tame the hippo if you're taming a zebra or whatever else you're doing.
Yeah.
The second thing is really you need to understand what they're trying to achieve, what the problem is, and only then start applying the solution. And for that, you need to do research. Now, I'll leave the final call to action to you. Why should everyone listening to this episode sign up for Women in Experimentation Summit on June 6th? You have 30 seconds to sell it.
Hey, I think if there's anything that I've noticed is we all have a need to be listened to and not just heard, right? And the reason why we want to be listened to is because we know that we are providing value, right? And we're providing a very valuable service, right? Regardless of where you sit in the experimentation community, you could be an analyst, you could be a specialist, you could be a manager, you could be a director, right? We all want to be heard. We all want to be listened to as well, right? So my talk or my session, right, would be ways that you can learn how to make that happen, right? Ways that you can improve your collaboration process, and ways that you can simply improve that sense of partnership between yourself and any other stakeholder that you will be working with. So it would be an amazing opportunity to share what I have learned. I know that I haven't been here for too long, but regardless of that, I think there's still value in the things that I've shared and the things that I've picked up over the span of my career. So it would be amazing to see you on the 6th of June. And I really hope that you sign up and I get to meet you.
There you go. To everyone listening, just go and sign up. And it's going to be a great full day event with dozens of amazing people participating. And I believe hundreds, if not thousands, attending the event. So, all right. Thank you for being an amazing guest at this podcast, No Hacks Show.
Thank
and
you.
To everyone listening to this episode, please consider rating, reviewing, and sharing whatever you do with your podcast. And I will talk to you next week.